Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Well, welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Welcome to the award-winning Laugh Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Bug Colson, here with Michele with one L, Trisha's sister, Rhonda Colson, Corey's friend. Do not call me Shelly, Michele VanDusen. Hi, Michele.
Good morning. How are ya?
Good morning. Well, first of all, it's 4 in the afternoon as we record this, so I feel like I may be a little more on planet Earth right now than you, and that never happens. So
I just figured
okay,
this is my new saying. Good morning.
Just everywhere you go. Is that like aloha? That can mean hello or goodbye. Just good morning it's good morning somewhere, right?
It's good morning somewhere, and at some point I will wake up. So good morning.
Good morning. Listen, okay, you
Yeah.
said wake up. I could wake up like I could be awake for the next 50 years. Look at this. You see this? Like, not sponsored by, but this is my son, my 20-year-old came home with like 50 of these energy drinks, these insane energy drinks. He's a firefighter. Somebody dropped off cases of these energy drinks at my kid's firehouse. The last thing my child or I need is something to amp us up more, Michele. Like,
is that 2 servings? Is that 2 servings per can, or is it 1 serving? Because that's what you got to check when they have the bigger cans. How many servings is in there?
It says 1 serving, but I can tell you that I already wake up with rocket fuel in my veins. I would like circle the planet 90 times if I drank one of these.
See, this is not a sponsor, but this is my new favorite drink. Oh my gosh, this flavored, this black cherry Bing juice. Oh, this is good. And this has, ginseng and B vitamins and whatnot. So,
but in our relationship, like, you're the Eeyore and I'm the Tigger. So
wow. Why bother? Why bother? Oh, bother.
You gave me an Eeyore keychain. So don't act like we're not playing that little game, right?
I gave it to you. I kept the Tigger one. Okay, so
you do a good Tigger giggle. That was really good. Okay, so Michele, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't trust you, but I've been having elbow issues, and I was showing somebody the other day. I was like, my friend Michele says, here's the exercise. Michele is stretching her arms up in the air and to the side, and I think I believed that until this move. Okay, friends, you ever done that, like, where you do kind of the okay symbol and then you flip them upside down like you're wearing goggles or glasses?
Yeah. Do you not feel the tendon pulling or stretching?
I don't, Michele. I think you're lying to me.
Then when you do
it, a fool at physical therapy. I'm like,
pull your elbows back. Pull your elbows back a little bit. Also, I would do it, but this jacket is a little tight, so I can't do that move right now. So otherwise, I would show you.
Kind of looks like. You know what this kind of looks like, Michele?
Jeepers creepers! Where'd you get those peepers?
Bug eyes.
Oh yes, yeah, bug eyes.
And we already have a June bug on the show, but we've got an even more amazing insect creature.
Yes,
that is going to be joining us today. Tell us all about, Michele, who is on the show.
Okay, so today's episode, this is going to be all the buzz because our guest today is an award-winning artist. You might have seen him on CMT or the Grand Ole Opry, Huckabee, or on his hit series Moonshiners, or caught his hilarious dry bar comedy special Southern by the Grace of God. But here's the treat. You can now catch him on the Laugh Support Podcast. Let's welcome to our podcast, Killer Beaz. Woo!
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you. I'm proud to be today's insect entity.
That's right. That's right. I did. Is that okay? So I got to work with Killer Bees not long ago. Was it my name? Is that what got me the job? Did a killer bee just need to work with a June bug?
Yes, that's all we had. So we we couldn't afford to pay you what you asked. So we figured, well, we put on camera and stuff. We actually you did a great job for us. So that was one of the bright points of all of last year, or this past year, I guess. So same
Yeah.
year, it's run together because it's been so much that we've been trying to do.
Yeah. Listen, I had so much fun, but I love that you said I was chosen because I'm all you had. And that's really usually the introduction that I get on stage. People are like, well, I mean, this is all we got. So here she comes, June bug.
Here she goes.
Well,
But no, it was
you know that I say that in jest because you really were one of our shining stars. So there's that.
oh my goodness. Well, Michelle, so he's talking about a couple episodes ago. We
Mhm.
recapped the comedy special, the clean comedy special that Killer Bees produced. It was three different cities. Look at that. There I was.
There
And
you are.
yeah, so there were three different cities. There were
Mhm.
two shows per city, and there were, I believe, seven comics on each show. And I had the honor of
Right.
being with.
42 comics.
Like
Woo!
he knew I couldn't do the math. You see how he jumped in because my brain froze, and I was like seven, four shows, three.
I think that actually constitutes as a Rhonda Corey moment because wasn't she one of your comedians also?
That's
Yes,
right,
she
Rhonda
was.
Corey. She was Nashville. She was at the Zany show.
Yeah, I
What?
love
What?
Rhonda. Everybody was great. That was so much
Mm.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I think. That's the connection that we had to be able to get you to come on and be on our podcast, Laugh Support. And I shared with you a little bit ago, just kind of the background of the show, how Michelle and I became friends, and how we reach out to comedians across the country to talk about their journey in comedy. So, Mr. Bees, Killer, Mr. Killer Bees, tell us about your comedy journey. When you think back to when you first started doing comedy, is there a person or some people that stick out in your mind that maybe came alongside of you right away that was supportive to you as you started your journey into comedy?
Well, it's an interesting story. I believe I started stand up in 1982 in Jackson, Mississippi, and at that time there were no comedy clubs in the entire state. So I just did shows just in whatever little bar or pool hall or whatever, trying to do stand up, which was the worst audiences in the world. I mean, they wouldn't quit playing pool, they wouldn't turn the
Yeah.
jukebox off. It was those type environments. But I did shows just all over the area. I've been funny since I was a little baby. And so I kind of realized the thing to do was learn the mechanics of being funny on stage. And so
Mm.
that's what I was trying to do was get stage time. So during this 311 shows that I did before I ever saw a comedian in person, I would record them, and Showtime Cable Network had their funniest person in America contest going. And comics from all 50 states would submit videos of their act and see if they could be the winners in their state. So I was actually the winner from the state of Mississippi for 3 years in a row.
Oh
During
wow.
that same time, Ellen DeGeneres was the winner down in New Orleans, so in Louisiana. So anyway, I was doing stand up part time, playing blues music on weekends, working at a music store, and went to Chicago on music store business, but didn't go to the concert they had lined up for the employees to go to. Instead, I bolted and went and saw Jay Leno at Zany's Comedy Club downtown Chicago. It was on Wells Street. It was right there beside Second City, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
So when I walked in that room, it was life changing before I ever sat down, because here was a venue set up where the audience was looking at the stage. They were actually sitting there looking
Yes.
at the stage. There weren't pool tables. There wasn't a band making racket. There wasn't a dartboard. It was people that were there to see the comic. I had never experienced that in 311 shows. But,
Wow.
but I got back home from seeing that performance, and I did 7 more shows and realized, you know what, there's a better way than just beating my brains out in these little bars. So I called the nearest comedy club to me, which is now the Stardome in Birmingham. It was Bruce
Oh,
Ayers. It was his original club. And I told him, I'm from Mississippi. I call myself Killer Beaz. I want to come try out for your club. And he says, well, what comedy club do you work out of? And once again, at the time, there was not one in the state of Mississippi. So I had to tell him, well, I don't work out of a club, just been doing it on my own. And he was about to turn me down. He was explaining to me, well, we generally use comics that are working out of a club. But I interrupted and went, well, I'm Showtime Cable Network's 3-time winner from the state of Mississippi. And he immediately went, okay, cool. So he had me come to Birmingham. He paid for my hotel room, and I had to audition before I could do open mic. So
Wow.
it was me and Bruce and his grandma, the only 3 people in the room. She was back in the office. Bruce was sitting about 10 rows back, and I'm up there doing my little act. I was a prop act when I started. So I'm pretending there's hecklers and stuff. I'm doing waving at people I know. So it was, and then the phone would ring and I'd have to go, hang on, let me go get this. And then, okay, all right, start back up. So anyway, so he liked the stuff I was doing and he kept me on. And I did 2 opening slots for him. And then he booked me on my next visit to Birmingham. He booked me in Huntsville, Birmingham, Huntsville, back to back. So that's how I got started on the circuit. And for a guy that was just fresh to be in a comedy club, I had a lot of experience. I had 300 and by then 18 shows in the wrong environment. So I was really good at controlling the room. So it was sink or swim. So I had to learn that skill during those first years. So the comedy club audience was not as hard on me because they were there to see what I was doing. I was having to battle the people that didn't even want to hear it. They're like, who's this jackass on stage while we're trying to talk? So that was the environment. So because of that, I did not really have a home club
mm,
or local comics that I befriended. So I did not have that interaction with other comics because at the time I was the only one from the state of Mississippi out there doing shows. So my friends in the business were Foxworthy and Ingval and Carrot Top and guys like that. And we would have writing sessions every now and then and would talk the philosophy and the physics, whenever we toured together. Tim Wilson was one of the guys, so it was pretty much in my clique. It would be Foxworthy and Tim Wilson and James Gregory, um,
mm,
and some of those cats. That's kind of the age group that I came up in, and each of those guys are so gifted still to this day and
mhm,
so much fun to watch on stage because they are absolute textbooks on how to do comedy from A to Z, man, from professionalism to wordsmithing to delivery. So those are the guys that I would get to hang with on the few times that I would get to hang with other comics. And so I think one of the main things that I learned as a writer, and I think Foxworthy was the first person that I heard say this. He goes, man, he goes, Bees, he goes, when we write a joke and we get a good joke with a solid punchline, then we go to the tagline and we have to make it just over the top. The tagline needs to be super exaggerated because
Mm,
you've already nailed a good
Mm,
joke on the subject, and now you have to go to the gravity free zone with your tagline and just put it out of the park because people want what they don't expect. And so
mm,
that's one of the key things in stand up in general, comedy in general, is the element of surprise. That is so important, because if people ask you, "Have you heard the joke about so and so?" If you've heard it, you're like, "Yeah, I've heard it," but then they tell you anyway,
yes.
and you have to sit through it. And then they embellish their version, like, oh, and before that. So that's one of the things is exaggerate your tagline, man. Make it be out of the realm of possibility so that they're left going, wow, how do they think that up? We can't tell them that we're partially stupid or something. So so that's important. And the other two more things. One is if you're starting out, you have to learn to not be afraid of getting your heart broken. You
Mm,
have to build scar tissue. That's what I tell the young people. What does it take? It takes getting your heart broken 1,000 times and coming back and not quitting. It takes that. And also, you need to be funny. You can't teach funny. So you've
mm,
got to have some fun. You've got to have that gift in you. The other thing is when performing live, you've got to come off as humble.
mm,
A lot of this now is just my opinion, but I feel like the opportunity or the chance, the potential to make the audience or to allow the audience to think that you're being uppity. I
mm,
think I think there is such a huge potential for that because just the physics, the psychology of the room, they're seated, you're standing above them,
yeah.
you're lit up, you have a microphone. They've paid, the people around them have paid money to come hear what's going to come out of your mouth.
mm,
So it is easy for people to think that you may be condescending at times.
Yeah.
mhm,
And through no intent of ours at all, but just think about that scenario where they are seated below you like
Mm,
that.
mhm,
So I try to take extra pains to be nice, to love them. Um, to me, that's important. I've worked with so many brilliant comedians that when they're done, I would ask audience members, what'd you think of so and so's act? Didn't like him, not didn't like his
yes.
act, didn't like
mm,
him.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you've got to be their friend right up front. Because if they don't like you or if they think you were being cocky or whatever, they're not going to listen to you. So
Yeah.
that's the main lessons that I have learned right there.
So Michelle, I think Killer Bees is directing that uppity attitude towards you, because I don't know that you heard our theme song at the beginning, but I don't think that Michelle could ever be uppity. She's really short, Killer Bees. She's really short. If you heard our
And
theme
I actually have diva written on my notepad just from that opening bit and did not want to say it because I have discernment and I'm trying to treat Michelle with grace.
Listen, y'all, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. Um, I think there's a
There's
song,
that.
right? I mean,
somebody should, yeah, they should write that down and sing it. Well, listen, I would tell you, okay, so in all reality, being able to work on a project with you meet
Yeah.
your family, and then the comedians that were all involved in the project. A lot of us had never really met you in that capacity, worked with you. And there were so many people that I knew that were a part of that project that had nothing but great things to say about their experience working with you, because you did do that. It felt like you loved on all the comedians who were there, as far as comparing careers and the time on stage and what you did in your first year. I don't know that I've done that many shows in 5 years. I'm doing everything I can to get on stage. Stage time is hard to get in certain areas. And at no point did I feel like I was less than, or I wasn't important or a part of the project. And other comedians, they kind of have that power over others, especially a veteran. It can really be damaging to somebody who's new and hasn't been out there. When you talk about building the scar tissue, sometimes it's the audience, but sometimes it can be other comics, and you can feel very lonely, which kind of leads me to our next question. I wondered, as you're doing that, as you're out there and you get started, were there times that you didn't feel you had support? And if you didn't, what drove you to keep doing the 311 pool like I just did a show the other day where cornhole broke out. Literally, these rednecks were playing cornhole in the middle of it. The guy after me, they were kind when I was up there, but they were done and they were playing cornhole. And for me, it was like, well, survive that, and going on. So maybe what encouraged you when it was so tough?
Well, one thing, I was lucky enough, blessed enough to be savvy to the fact that we've got to continue paying dues.
Mm,
And that
mm,
never ends, man. That never freaking ends. There's always
right.
a tough, weird gig waiting for you, waiting for every one of us. So that's one thing, is to accept that, and just get through it, build the scar tissue. But it's really, I have felt like, and I think I told you this once before when we chatted, that my earliest memory is of making people laugh and smile in a funeral home
Yes.
when I was a toddler. And so my entire life, literally, when I say I've been funny since a little baby, that's my memory. I've been funny,
Hmm.
wittiest in school, yada yada yada. So it never occurred to me, June, that I would not be successful doing stand up.
Mm,
And to reiterate from a little while ago, I just knew, in my heart, that it was about learning the mechanics of it.
mm,
And that is such a big thing, because you cannot practice that art form unless you're under duress. I mean,
yeah.
you can't get in front of a mirror. You can memorize, but you can't
Hmm.
practice, because when you're under duress in front of people and there's a lightning storm going on outside, your
Yes.
breathing's going to be different. Your motor skills are different. So you've got to practice in that scary, they're listening and grading and judging me at every word I say scenario. And that's how they weed us out. If you're not tough enough and want it enough
Hmm.
and have enough belief in your gift, then it's a tough art form.
Mm. I remember someone saying to me, and of course, my comedy journey is a little bit different, and it was just something that I felt the Lord laid it on my heart and was like, "I've given you this, and it's been a weapon before to protect yourself, and now I want you to use it as a tool and go out and love on people. You love people, and do it in this way, with comedy." And I really struggled with the insecurity of it. And I remember someone saying to me, if you don't believe what God's sending you out to do, nobody else is going to believe that.
Hmm.
And I think that's, kind of the confidence, the being on stage, and like your audience needs to believe that you believe you're funny. You believe you have something to give them. If you're up there and they can sense that it's this person's not sure if they should be there, or they're not having fun, or they're it's such a hypersensitive space, isn't it? We're hypersensitive to every sound, the smell, the faces, everybody in the room, and they're hypersensitive to everything that we're doing. And I think that speaks to what you said. Just, are you brave enough? Can you get out there and keep doing this?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yes.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now, it is terrifying. it is so scary going up and telling and acting out and delivering something that you in your heart came up with that you believe is going to be worth that audience member's time and money and hassle to come see you. That's a
Mhm.
lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So, and if it's not a lot of pressure, you need to look at it in such a way so that it is pressure, because I feel like we are so indebted to our audience. That's the
Yeah.
only reason we get to keep doing it, is because people will support it. And
Mm.
so we have to respect them and be full on every show, man. Do not coast. Do not coast.
Yeah. Yeah. Michelle, you just popped up a little thumbs up bubble.
I have no idea how that happened. Like, I have no idea. Like,
That
that
was
was
magical.
that that was amazing. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. That was I just have to go back for just a second. I want to make sure I understood you. You said under duress, not underdressed. Because you were talking about looking in the mirror and then
Uh,
being underdressed. And I'm like, what are you wearing on stage?
Michelle, really?
Look, I am the diva.
Really,
I
Michelle,
have my
that was
own
great.
fan with me. I'm sorry.
Yes, you do.
I actually have no
Duress.
idea.
I tried to use a
Duress.
fancy
Okay.
word. I tried to say duress, and now you called
Well,
me out on it because of my
no,
accent.
I just wanted to make sure that our listeners all around the world, understood that under duress, the stress of being on stage and things like that. Correct? Is that
That
right? Okay.
and that's good going, because I have fans in Germany that'll be hitting us up, dude. What you wearing in front of that mirror? That's not a good German accent, but that was my attempt.
that was
Front
so.
line.
I thought it was more French sounding than German, but
Yeah,
you were close.
Oh, oui. Anyway,
same
all right.
difference.
Okay, June, next question, please.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. Thanks so much. All right, so we kind of covered, support. I love that in the very beginning, it was Bruce and his grandmother. His grandmother had your comedy career in her hands, and
Right.
Love it.
yeah,
I
and your
love it.
prop comedy. We love. Michelle just showed us that she has a fan, and that literally, for the folks listening, not watching, she has a fan, a mini fan beside her. But but then you kind of you did some of the names that you mentioned. Wow, the people that were alongside you, and someone like Jeff Foxworthy, writing with and giving tips, and just understanding that when the going got tough, you had to be tough. That's when you were building those scars. So I personally have had just the one experience getting to do the project with you, but I know that there are a lot of comedians that have spoke about you kind of pouring into their lives and being supportive to them. And so I just wondered, what that's like for you to be able to now, as a veteran, have the opportunity to encourage somebody who's new and their journey. Or do you feel like that you're someone who is kind of supportive to maybe a specific group of people that are coming along?
Well, I'm going to say that it's joyous to be in a position, to be in a place in my life, spiritually, physically, the best shape I've ever been in, the best place I've ever been in. It
Mm.
is a joy to me to share my gift, my insights, what I've learned over the years, and it's just another way of thanking God.
Yeah.
Is to help other people that have this gift of levity, to help them get better and better so they can share it with more people. I love it.
Yeah. When I first got started, Jeff Allen opened up his home. And I know you and I talked about that you were doing comedy with Jeff back in the day, and you've known
Right.
him for a very long time. And um, Jeff, I remember when he talked about doing a writers group for, some friends of the Christian comedy world, and even those who weren't doing clean comedy. I reached out and I said, I don't have a lot. I know I have a calling. I know I have a natural ability, and I know I have a drive to do this thing. But if you're looking for veteran people to be riding with you, I'm probably not your person. And he said, no, you're exactly why I want to start this group. And he said,
Yeah.
there's just energy by being around people who, he said, I've been doing this thing by myself on the road alone a lot, and he said it's fun. It energizes me to be around. Not that I'm a young comic. I'm not a 20-year-old somebody who was called into it. I was called into it in my 40s, but I'm new. And it was that I saw that, and I could see that. I feel like I could see that in you as well, is that it not only is something that you just feel like you should do, but I feel like you draw energy from the people that are around you too. It's kind of a back and forth. Do you agree? Or
Oh, I do agree. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine,
yeah.
and it's just proof. So yes, I totally agree.
That's awesome. So is there, speaking of newer comedians, is there maybe a piece of advice or two? You've already given us a few things, but I wondered, it could be life advice. It could be anything that you want to share as we're kind of, coming to the close of this thing, that maybe someone's given you that you carry through your day or carry to stage that someone else might benefit from.
What what's important is to not worry. That's a big thing.
Mm,
Show business where you don't get paid unless there's butts in the seats.
right.
You can go down that dark path of worry because it's a tough art form, and it is oftentimes driven by what the economy's doing. So
Mm,
you want to have yourself in a place spiritually so that you don't worry and fret over stuff. That will kill creativity so quickly, is
Mm-hmm.
worrying about stuff. So you want to
mm,
um, get that off your plate, and have integrity. Man, have integrity. It's a joyous art form. It's a wonderful thing to make people laugh and smile. So if you can be a part of it, it's worth the work. And we need more people doing it. We need people setting the examples and work clean. I haven't always worked clean, but I changed my life, and I changed my life on purpose, and it's for the better. I'm the funniest, I'm the best I've been. I've got the most reach I've ever had. So
mm.
get yourself right, give it to God.
Mm-hmm.
He invented laughter. He knows. So suck it up, do the right thing.
He's talking to you, Michelle. All those dirty jokes that you've been doing for so
Okay, fine. I'll stop talking about the Merry Maids.
you're gonna
Um,
you're gonna have to be humble, and you're gonna have to stop. You're gonna have to stop with the dirty jokes, Michelle.
I know. Well, the one note that I wrote down that I think I'm gonna work the hardest on was be funny. Like that's something I need to learn. Now I was watching your dry bar special, and I loved, I think it's your very last joke on there about the golfing one, where drinking like your green drink was messing you up when you were
Oh,
trying to putt.
oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was like,
Drinking green juice.
yeah, I was like, how did you connect those two? That was so funny. Like it was just there was just two ideas completely
That's
not
kind
even
of
in the same realm.
sciencey, isn't it?
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Yes. And it was so funny. I'm like, my dad is gonna love this when I show this to him, you know.
for
So
for those who don't know, I was talking about my wife trying to get me to work out, and part of that regimen was she had me drink green juice, and so she goes, "Aren't you worried about your cholesterol?" And I say, "My cholesterol is fine. My chlorophyll is up to here." And then I tell the other, because I had to set that chlorophyll hook in there. See, that was my
Yeah.
bait. My
mhm.
chlorophyll's up to here. And then I tell the audience, green juice ruined my golf game. You cannot putt when the sun is making your body lean toward it. And then act like I'm putting. And of course, I'm a plant that the sun's making me turn toward. So I was pretty proud of that one. See, that's another, you got to have the element of surprise.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad you brought that one up. I'm pretty proud of that one. Try not to be proudful here. I will repent from it in
It
just a
is
few seconds, but that's a pretty good joke.
Well, it's so well written and so well performed because if you're thinking about, oh, you have to start drinking healthy drinks, that means you got to go to the bathroom a lot. Of course, it's going to mess up your golf game. So that's where you're going. But
Right.
then when you're talking about how it's making your body lean to the sun, it was just like, oh, it was just beauty and emotion right there. That was just fantastic.
You, you think I stopped my golf game to go to the restroom? What?
No
You never
way.
golfed with anybody my age, have you?
No, I'm very, very afraid of clowns. So no.
Ow.
VanDusen. Come on
The
now.
on the mini putt
The
golf.
mini
Okay.
putt, yes.
Yeah.
that's
Those clowns.
that's the only place that you play is the putt. You know what I love though is Michelle pointing out that the act out of it. I remember an actor friend when I first got started. Which I did this on your special. I did the bit about catching my hair on fire, and he was like, "You talk with your hands all the time. You are so animated. Why, when you're doing that, aren't you smoking the cigarette? Why aren't you flicking it out the window? Why aren't you showing us it blowing back into your hair? Like everything that you could have told us your body leaned to the sun, but as in the
Gotcha.
special, you show us that your body leans to the sun. Sometimes the
Yeah,
punchline is your physicality, what you're physically doing brings it to you."
yeah, I kind of like to act the bit out as I tell it. So you're right about that. And here's another technique we can use. We may have spoken about this before. When you're on a stage and the lighting has bright and darker spots, you know how the lights, when you do your premise, be in a little bit darker spot, but as you tell the punchline, step into that light and the
Oh.
audience sees you get a little closer and they see you illuminated in light at the same time that they are enlightened with the punchline. So I think there are some little tricks you can use like that that can have a psychological effect on how they perceive the material.
I love that.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
good. That's so good. Man, this has been the best interview.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you. I know we're not quite at the end of it yet, but just thank you so much for just dropping all those pearls of wisdom for us. That
Hmm.
is just it's so good. It's so good.
Well,
Hmm.
you know what? It's fun to me to sit and remember them and think up and look back at all the blessings and all the, different things that I can give advice about. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, I definitely want to give you an opportunity to talk about who your laugh support is now in your life, the people that are in your inner circle, the people that are close to you. I got to meet some of those folks. And when I tell you,
Right.
listen, when I tell you that Killer Beaz has the most amazing wife. I got to meet his son Skylar. Love him. Like his Facebook posts, honestly, are some of the funniest. I rarely laugh at like stuff that people post, but I don't know. I just connected with him. Such a great person. But I will tell you, she is not only like smart and driven and loves the Lord, but that woman, I will never forget looking up at the back of the Stardome, and she was walking through the audience. When I saw her in the morning, it was she had her hair pulled back and was just ready for business. But she walked across that room and gorgeous. Tell everyone about your amazing inner circle and your beautiful wife.
Well, one, my wife, Terry, we call her, but actually we all call her corporate because
Yes.
she's a maniac in a good way, and she actually runs the company that does my bookings. So I we are a mom and pop operation, and we've been together for 33 years. And between us, we've got 70 years or more in the comedy business. And so we are actually one of the few families that's blessed enough that we get to tour together.
Yeah.
She does a lot of the road trips with me. When the kids were growing up, they went on the road with us. We homeschooled them a couple of different times so that we could take them coast to coast with us. So it's really been an incredibly blessed career for us, because a lot of people that are in this industry do not get to have their families with them like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a really neat thing. And Terry, and I have two sons, Truett and Skylar. Truett is older than Sky. Those three, corporate and our two boys, are so freaking artistic. I
Yeah.
mean, it's amazing. They can draw, they can paint, they can do all this stuff. I am the least talented um, of any of us. And so it is really, really fun to be around them, because they are absolutely a hoot, and they make me laugh, and I'm hard to make laugh. I analyze when I see something funny going down, but they are really, really good, and it makes for a really interesting road trip. And we have our little dog Bahama with us, our
Yes.
little road dog. So um, it's not really for the squeamish when we're on tour, man, because there's lots of hours, there's lots of packing, unpacking, whatnot. But it is absolutely fun. So that's, once again, just blessed, blessed, blessed.
I got to see that sweet puppy, Michele. Corporate was actually pushing it on a cart. Apparently, their dog loves to ride on the hotel carts. Is that right?
Yeah, she cart surfs everywhere we go.
and then this way, and then speaking of the cart, I helped her load her vehicle, and I was riding over to the theater with her, and I said, "Oh, I'll push the cart back in the hotel," and I pushed the cart back in the hotel, and then I come back out, and she was gone, and I thought it had left. I thought it was a cruel trick. And then, because the night before the order got confused on stage, and I didn't do the time that I was going to do. And then Killer Beaz almost got me fired from corporate, because when she came around the corner wanting to know why I wasn't out there, you pointed to me, you blamed
Who, her? I thought she worked here.
me.
She's a
Which is fine.
comedian? What?
I was already triggered though, so then the next day you forgot me, and then she forgot me. The middle
You
child
know,
syndrome just was so enhanced in me during that project.
sometimes life sends you clues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yep.
and sometimes I'm just clueless, so that's okay. It's about
Yep.
Not gonna say that about you.
well, Killer Beaz,
Y'all are making my cheeks hurt. Uh,
well, we are just absolutely just honored. We've been so blessed by having you on the podcast, taking out the time to come here. Friends, I know most of y'all probably already know him, and if you don't, what is wrong with you? Do something about that, okay? Make sure that you follow Killer Beaz. You can find him everywhere. He's on Facebook at Killer Beaz Comedy. He is at killerbeaz.com, and Beaz is Beaz. You can find him on Instagram, on YouTube. On YouTube, he's Killer Beaz TV. Okay, so make sure that you go follow him on all the social. If you're listening to us on this podcast, thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to watch this episode, see Michele's amazing fan, the wonderful tuxedo that Killer Beaz wore for the show today, you can actually go over to YouTube and watch it on there. You're not seeing that right now because you're listening, so really go watch the whole episode to the end so that you can see the tuxedo.
and
And
this tuxedo is for sale. I will autograph it and sell this tuxedo just because I'm a giver.
that's right. And the one thing we don't have down there is moonshiners. So if you'll tell us real quick before Michele kicks you
Oh,
backstage, tell us about moonshiners.
that's right. The Discovery Channel. It's their hit series, Moonshiners. We are in season 12 now. As a matter of fact, I just got home today. I've been in the mountains for 10 days filming. The new season is going to start airing mid-January, sometime in there. I don't know the exact date, but that is on the Discovery Channel, Moonshiners. So hillbillies making moonshine, holding spit cups, running from the police.
Yeah,
What can
which is
go
So
wrong?
much fun. It's so much fun to watch. I'm just gonna put that out there.
it's right up my alley, right, Michele? It's right up my alley. And I will say this, one
Yep.
of the sweetest and most humble things was after the show, everybody was hanging out in the hotel lobby, and you had heard my material about my dad, Hot Dog, and he actually watches Moonshiners. And at no point was I like, hey, will you come over and do something special for my dad? You actually suggested that. You said, hey, let's go over here and make a video for him. And you know, you never know what people are going through. My dad's had, you know, a really hard time with the loss of my mom and a lot of things that are happening. And when someone just thinks, hey, I want to do something special for someone, you have no idea the ripple effect that has. And I was so excited to come home, pull it up on my iPad, and play the video for him. Where you literally, and the folks who listen to us know my dad's name is Hot Dog. A lot of my materials about him. He's so much fun. And absolutely, so I want to thank you for doing that video. It absolutely blessed him. He's told all his friends, you know, that he did a video just for me. And so that was really special. And again, I want to thank you for being on here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of one of the projects that you did, and agreeing to be on our Laugh Support podcast.
Well, June, thank you very much. I love you. I love you too, Michele.
Thank you.
Calm
Hey,
down.
how do you know that you're in a Moonshiners church?
How?
When the pastor says, I'd like to ask Bubba to help take up the offering, and 5 guys and 2 women stand up. Boom.
Okay, we're gonna send you backstage after that. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Right.
Michele always ends with
Let me make a note
something
of
that
that.
embarrasses me.
Michele, you're going to be the next one left at the hotel, my dear. Oh, no.
That's right.
Something happened to your Uber.
Backstage, Michele, let's close this puppy out. Michele, I always tell you, don't embarrass me in front of my friends, and then you embarrass me.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have a tip of the week? You got anything happening here you want to shout out?
Oh, wow. A tip of the week. I didn't have a good tip of the week. This is what happened to me this week. I think here's a tip, really, seriously. If you have your own sound system, bring it with you if you're doing like a non-traditional show, because last night I was doing a show and they had like the karaoke thing, and the mic was all tangled up, and then halfway through my bit, some party alarm went off and it just started going whoop, 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 whoop. Like, there's no control when you're going with their stuff. So, and I drive to a lot of places I go. So I say, if you know, invest in a good sound system. Our friend Rhonda Corey, like, she travels with one. It's great. I love doing like non-traditional shows. It is a Rhonda Colson Corey moment on the Laugh Support podcast. So if you have the opportunity to purchase your own equipment, grab it, have it in your car, because obviously the sound makes a huge difference. So I ended up finishing the show by just yelling at a bunch of strangers in their faces at a train depot in small town Indiana. And it would have been better with my own sound. So that's my tip of the week. All right, it's been an amazing interview.
Yes.
Michele, how awesome is Killer Beaz?
He's amazing. This was so fantastic. I really, really appreciate him coming on and sharing all the wisdom that he has from all the shows that he's done and all the things he's been involved in. It was fantastic. I can't wait for this episode to come out for everybody else to catch up on it. So I just want to say thanks for listening. Yeah. And we'll catch you on the next recording.
All right, Jesus and Beanbag loves you. Bye, y'all.